मैम हम स्टार्ट करेंगे क्योंकि इनका जो भी बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट जो बैठे हैं इसमें 25 मई के एग्जाम वाले टारगेट वाले भी स्टूडेंट हैं और जो 2026 और 27 जो अटेम्प्ट करने वाले हैं वो भी स्टूडेंट है। तो हम पहले जो 2025 के जो 25 मई की जो एग्जाम है उसके लिए जो फोकस कर रहे हैं वो स्टूडेंट को पहले थोड़ा एग्जाम से पहले क्या करना है, क्योंकि अभी बहुत कम दिन बाकी है, 14-15 दिन ही बाकी है, तो उनको क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है वो थोड़ा गाइड कर लेंगे। उसके बाद फिर जो भी स्टूडेंट्स 2026 और 26 के लिए अपेयर करने वाले उनके लिए एक हेल्पफुल सेक्शन होगा, ऐसा हम एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे अभी।
Right.
ओके, थैंक यू मैम, स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं।
So, will there be any questions, or should I just share my strategy? Or
मैम फर्स्ट वी स्टार्ट योर स्ट्रेटेजी ऑल एवरीथिंग अबाउट प्री मेंस इंटरव्यू एंड देन आफ्टर लास्ट 10 to 15 minutes we discuss on in the particular questions of our aspirant.
sure. So, good morning, students. I feel so delighted to share my strategy or some insightful things that help me in my preparation, and I hope they'll also come to use for you in your preparation. And specifically, if I should talk about the students who are going to appear for the prelims on 25th of this May, there are few things that you should keep in mind. I hope everybody has done some practice regarding the prelims, like be it the PYQ solving or be it the test series and analysis of your strength and weakness areas in different subjects. I think you might have done all of that. And there is only a little bit of advice that I can give you at this moment. Whatever the static portion that you have revised multiple times, just track your learnings, just revise and remember as much as you can. And when it comes to the important thing, that you have given a lot of tests, I guess, and now is the time to cut down the number of tests. Now your focus should be entirely around the previous year papers. Like when I was giving the 24 prelims, I usually stopped when it's almost 20 or 15 days before the exam. I used to stop the tests that I was writing back then. And then I used to write the previous year questions exactly in the exam manner. For example, if I have taken 2017 ka paper, so I used to write the GS paper in the morning and CSAT paper in the afternoon. Exactly similar to the timings that we write in the actual exam. So why does this practice of PYQs help? See, we already have practiced a lot of PYQs. We know the answers already for a lot of questions. But why is it important to write those tests again? This is because no matter which test series that you buy in the market for prelims, the language that they use in the question, the kind of question that the test series, the institutes frame as questions, they will in no way make similar to the questions that are being asked in the prelims. So when you write the previous year question papers, just like in the exam manner, you will be like I can say you will be accumulated or you will be familiarized with the kind of questions that UPSC asks in the exam. So that kind of familiarity is something that you will get when you attempt previous year papers, just like in the exam manner. And the second thing is about restricting your sources now. So you might have made some short notes or some revision notes, which is handy for prelims revision. Don't go beyond that. There might be a lot of things going in the current affairs, like the news events, all of it, very new issues may be popping up. But remember, it is not important to run behind every other news piece. Whatever that you have learned till now, consolidate it, revise it multiple times, and do not run behind the new things right now. Whatever you have, just go for it, prepare it with full confidence. And third important thing is that these days, just before the exam, we get anxious, we feel nervous because we know the value of time altogether, because we put in lot of years, lot of time in preparing the exam. So this 15 days or 1 week before the exam, it plays a lot with our mind. So during these days, what you have to do is that trick your mind to remember something. Like we have a lot of factual stuff to prepare for the prelims. For example, we have the map pointing, we have different organizations, indices, reports, national parks, if we open environment. So there are a lot of factual stuff that you already know, but just to have an engaging conversation with yourself, try to memorize them, try to revise them. So in this way, your brain will also settle. When you know that you know particular thing, you will feel confident. So for that confidence, try to revise those map pointing bits and those national parks and list of endangered species. So only whatsoever is important, just try to make a memorizing pattern with your brain. Do active recall. I do not know whether you know it or not. So I have learned this technique of recall, active recall. So what we do in this is that we just close the book, whatever subject we are studying, whatever topic we are studying, we'll just write the keywords, whatever we remember from that topic. And whenever you do not remember something, then open the book and look at where you were missing. And in that way, you will recall everything and your brain is in active functioning mode. And the final, but the most important thing for the prelims is the confidence. A lot of times, even after practicing a lot, even after knowing a lot, we tend to go wrong in prelims stage, especially because we'll feel nervous under the scorching heat, especially in the mid-May. We are going to write exams both in the morning and afternoon sessions. And there is a natural anxiety and nervousness, so much so that even we attempt the questions that we know very well. So we attempt them wrong. For that, keep in mind that your confidence will save you in prelims. And that is what helped me in my second attempt. So I request you students to please go through the points that I have mentioned and be confident in your abilities. You have practiced so much and just consolidate everything that you have done and you will be sorted for the prelims. And if I should share my elaborate exam preparation strategy in detail. So this is keeping in mind that somebody is appearing for 26 or 27 attempt, not the 25th May. Because the time is up for the students here. They are already prepared and they are going to give the prelims. So those who are starting late, so those who are aiming for 2026 or 2027, first of all, your intent of giving this exam should be very clear. For example, if I want to become something, some IAS or some IPS or IFS, why do I want that? So that why should be very important, because you see, we are all young college graduates. We just right after graduation or doing some 1 or 2 years of work, we just dive into preparation. We leave a lot of things behind. We risk everything for this particular exam. And for that risk, there should be proportionate amount of reasoning behind it. That reasoning should only be done by you. It should not be by some family's force or some friend's force or fear of missing out that you are going to give this exam. That should not be a motivation for you to give this exam. The motivation should be internal and it should be backed by a proper reason. The reason why I am telling you this is because this exam takes a lot of time, effort, resources, money, and whatnot. So before investing that much of time, resources into this exam, let's first make ourselves very clear that why should I give this exam? After you are very sure about that why, then you can start ahead. And secondly, this exam is conducted in 3 different stages, as you all know. And each of this stage requires a different version of us. So for prelims, it's all about the aptitude that we have to be aware so that we can solve the MCQs and just reach the cutoff. So that we'll be in the safe line and we are given a chance to write the mains. And for mains, it's about the endurance, because for mains, no matter how much of the endurance that you have, you will always have to push your limits. You'll always have to put those hard working hours. For example, say 12 to 13 hours will easily go into mains prep despite you are not interested in it, because the kind of work that we have to do for mains is a lot. And for interview, it's a different ball game altogether, because here you are not writing down something on paper, rather you are saying something to the people who are just sitting right in front of you. So that kind of personality test requires a lot of what we say is a presentation skill, or the projecting our personality traits to our answers, and our gestures or answers should be carefully calibrated so that only what we want to project from our personality is being projected. So these are certain skills which are very different from one exam stage to other, that we have to keep in mind. After analyzing the exam pattern, go through the syllabus, go through the question papers of previous years. For example, say prelims. Let's say if you're a fresh graduate who has a valid reason to give this exam, then he or she sits down for the previous year papers. So go through the prelims papers, first analyze. Like most of us will be coming from the technical background and some of us are coming from humanities. No matter, irrespective of your background, just go through the papers and you'll know what this exam is demanding from you. When we understand the UPSC requirements, then it becomes way more easier for us to prepare, right? We need to first have that direction. And after all of these things, I just want to dive into what I did specifically for prelims, mains, and interview. And later on, you can ask me specific questions regarding different stages of the exam. So for the prelims, as you know, this is my second attempt. In my first attempt, I could not qualify prelims. Both in GS and CSAT papers, I could not qualify the cutoff marks. So I was going down in both the papers. So then I knew there was something seriously lacking for prelims, that I did not do well in any sort. Hence, I started with prelims preparation, this time way ahead. So approximately in the last week of December 2023, I started for prelims. I enrolled in some other program, free initiatives for prelims. And I'll briefly give my takeaways from the prelims preparation, which I think has helped me a lot. Firstly, it's about the focus on static. So it should be your number one point in prelims preparation, because current affairs, it's a lot. No matter how much current affairs that you read, you'll always get some new questions in the exam. And even the All India Rank 1 could not know all the questions. So that is the fact here. Then you should be concentrating only on the static first. So if I have a 1 full day to study for prelims, I'll give more than half a day for static portion. And only 2 or 3 hours that I get in spare, I only allocate that time for the current affairs. So I'll call 4 foundational subjects for prelims, which are worth taking the risk. The first one is the polity. Then you have the economy and geography and history. So these are the 4 main pillars that you have to be very thorough about. We all follow the same kind of NCRTs or standard books per se for these subjects. So just go through the static, be very clear of the subject, be very clear of the foundational concepts. After you are clear about them, make a short notes, which is handy for you just per se 15 days before the exam. So that will be very handy for you. Again, when I'm telling about the short notes, don't assume that you have to convert entire textbook into short notes. That is not the right approach. For example, we have Lakshmikant for polity. I do not recommend any of you to make short notes out of Lakshmikant. It is only those important pointers that you feel that you are forgetting again and again. So those pointers, you know the weak areas of a particular subject of you. So analyze those weak areas, make short notes on those weak areas so that you will get covered. You will cover them as and when the time approaches for the exam. And the next thing is about how to practice the previous year questions. Like many toppers tell you, analyze the previous year questions and practice them a lot. But how to do that will matter the most. For example, if I take particular paper, for example, 2018 ka paper, prelims GS paper. So firstly, I'll cover the question subject wise. So what are the questions given under the polity? What are given under history? What are given under economy? After going through them section by section, I will analyze the theme areas. So from which areas UPSC is asking questions year after year. So those will become my focus areas, my priority areas. As in when I open polity for reading, Lakshmikant for reading the subject, then I'll first read those themes which are repeated again and again in the papers. So for example, Parliament is one such important chapter, and you can expect something from President versus Governor, then President versus Vice President. So these are some of the important chapters in Lakshmikant that I can expect questions. This is something that you'll get through previous year questions analysis. And secondly, after the analysis of theme areas is done, you have to solve the questions. So then you have to also analyze the options. For example, we'll get 4 options and you have to analyze where the UPSC is tricking you. Let's say I'll take an example from geography. We will have different geographical phenomena and there are questions around that. For example, Indian Ocean Dipole or El Nino, La Nina. There are questions around such concepts. You can observe that when UPSC gives a question and gives 2 statements. One statement, you can see that it is loaded fully with information. Like for example, in the Western Pacific Ocean, at this and this latitude, there are a lot of factual data in one statement. And the other statement is very simple and very generalistic. For example, weather phenomena is associated to influence the La Nina. So that is very generic. Weather phenomena can be anything and it can influence. Nobody goes to check and says that this will not influence La Nina. So such kind of statements will always be right, and the statements with lot of factual information will have lot of chance to make it wrong. So in that case, we'll take the first option wrong because there are a lot of factual data. UPSC can swap any of those terms and make the statement wrong. And otherwise, the second option, the second statement is very simple and very generalistic. So it can be made simple, easier. Like by ticking it right, you can bet on it. In such questions, you have to have this kind of aptitude. So how to develop this aptitude becomes a question for us. This can be done by analyzing your previous year questions lot of times. You have to do it a lot of times so you get habituated to the kind of language UPSC is giving and to the kind of tricks they are playing to make us attempt particular question wrong. This is something that I did for prelims PYQs and it has helped me a lot. And some other important thing, specifically if we talk about the science and tech. What I did for science and tech was I relied on current affairs to prepare science and tech. And other than that, I relied on PYQs. For example, there are questions on different technologies. And you see, they'll ask you what are the applications of this particular technology. In most cases, all of the applications will be right because nobody goes to check that this will not be done by this particular technology. So most of the cases, I'm not telling that 100%, but most of the cases, application-based questions in science and tech are bound to be all of the above answer. And also additionally, I made some short notes. For example, there is a question on VFX technology. There is a question on accelerometer. There is a question of nanotechnology. So I'll make short notes on the previous year question themes so that my science and tech is covered. Once I prepared that PYQ notes, I'll just revise that and I'll go through the news events. For example, we have a lot of things going on in space sector. ISRO has launched something, NASA has launched something. What are the revelations of that mission? What are the objectives? How it's going to help India or humankind as a whole? These should be my focus areas. So accordingly, I covered those news aspects and prepared notes and I revised them a lot of times. And in this way, science and tech is sorted. Overall, I will say that first, after going to PYQs, you have to select the theme areas. Then you have to be thorough with the foundational subjects that I have mentioned. Static should be strong. Current affairs should be the second priority and not the first. And thirdly, it's about the theme-wise notes out of previous year questions. And fourthly, it's about the mock test. Whatever the mock test that you have in the market, you can just attempt those mock tests. But remember, do not take the marks or the mocks that you get out of those mock tests as the face value. Because as I said earlier also, no matter how much these institutes try, they cannot emulate the manner that the UPSC gives in prelims. The questions, the bouncer questions or the questions about foundational concepts. But how mocks will be helpful is that they'll make you practice previous questions in time frame manner. Like you are made to sit for 2 hours and attempt those questions, bubble those answers. So this kind of practice is what we get out of the mocks. Hence, use the mocks for this particular purpose. And as and when your mock test is completed, just analyze your performance. Questions where you went wrong, like refer the answer PDF and just get 2 to 3 lines out of that question and make a separate notes. And as and when you get time, revise that notes a lot of times. And this should be ideally a good approach for general studies prelims. And for CSAT specifically, as I said earlier, I did not clear CSAT in my first attempt, despite me from coming from an engineering background. So that is a harsh truth. Everybody should realize. It is not that if you are from a particular background that you will get any advantage out of it. So irrespective of your educational background, please put some emphasis on CSAT preparation as well. It's not that you have concepts in brain and you go to exam hall directly to apply it. It needs practice. It needs some careful calibration of your strategy for CSAT as well. And as I said, we have RC and we have math concepts in the CSAT paper. Do not bet on any single section. Try both. So you have to be thorough in both RC and in math as well. So for RC, I did one simple thing. I just practiced all the PYQs right from 2013 to 2023. So I practiced all of those RC questions. I'd say around 7 to 8 times easily. I solved all of the questions under RC. And I analyzed what kind of tricks they are playing. For example, we have questions like what is a corollary? What is the inference? So be mindful of such keywords. What are those keywords expecting from us? So how should we think when such questions are asked? These will be known for us when we practice the PYQs a lot. So schedule the time and accordingly practice all the RC questions multiple times. And there is no other source better than previous year questions for RC. Don't go for any mock test, for especially if you are aiming for acing the RC section. Just rely on PYQs, do it a number of times, and you'll be sorted for RC. And when it comes to the math section, obviously, year after year, if you see the trend, the questions, the complexity of such questions is getting increased. And many of the students are missing the cutoff just by 0.5 marks or 1 mark even because of this math section. So what I did through my second attempt was, I had a book of a quantitative aptitude. So I practiced the questions theme-wise. For example, we have questions from number system, then permutation combination, probability, percentages. So these are certain important chapters from where we are getting a lot of questions. I practiced them according to the concepts, and more than everything, I practice the PYQs in that format only. So if I take number system, per se, I used to allocate almost 5 days for number system. So in those 5 days, I will tick all the questions that were asked in previous years. So all of those questions I used to solve, and I used to get an idea about how the mistakes are being done by me in those questions. So this analysis is very important so that you cannot make that mistake again. And after such practice, go for different mock tests. Obviously, the more you practice for math, the more you will get accommodated or to that kind of difficulty. And attempt mock test if you need. But for RC, only previous year questions will suffice and no other passages will be close to the pattern that UPSC is asking. But for aptitude, you can go for any other books, or there are a lot of YouTube videos, YouTube channels, which are helping students for solving such math questions. And overall, this used to be my prelims preparation. And I think you are like familiarized with the style of preparation that I did. And specifically, when we talk about mains, almost the time duration that we have for mains is very less, almost 2.5 months that we have roughly in our hand. Then the approach should be not to write bulky notes, but that notes that will be handy and that will be loaded with some value addition, some decent content, so that you can be able to revise them at least 15 days before your mains. I'll just give you one simple example. For example, you see, for prelims, you have read a lot. For example, say 4 to 5 months to be precise. You have a lot of information, and you must be feeling a bit of anxiousness and nervousness right before the exam. Imagine what kind of anxiety that you will have just before your mains, because that is not simple ticking of the options. You have to write a lot. You have to sit for 3 hours straight in the afternoon and morning, and you have to complete the papers on time. So imagine the kind of difficulty that we get in the overload of information and in the overload of this physical pain, that you have to write a lot of answers non-stop. Keeping this in mind, always do some smart work along with hard work. You have to make your notes in such a way that it becomes handy for you. It becomes a guide for you in those tough times, and it will not become something very burden for you. And I'll share how I did my notes. For example, let's take geography. Since it's a static subject, we all might be thorough with it through prelims preparation, yet we do not know how to present them in answers. For that, I just used to revise some concept. For example, again, I'll take the example of El Nino, La Nina, or Pacific oscillations. And after reading that, I used to make short keyword notes. Like, I know the process of this geographical phenomena, climatic phenomena, but I used to make pointers. And after that pointers, I used to make separate diagrams, so that I'll constantly keep in mind that whenever a question in geography is asked, especially about some phenomena, I definitely have to cram up a diagram there. So this was made in my notes alongside. So it did not take a lot of effort, because we know it already. We have read it a lot of times. So I just crammed up in my notes. And then I also focused on some value additions. For example, if we take in geography, there is not much that we can do, but just simply add examples from current affairs. Let's say there is a question on cyclone, or like the frequency of cyclones is getting increased, especially on the western coast of India rather than eastern coast. What are the reasons? So this can be one of the question. Then I'll definitely have a point about climate change. So I'll write that due to climate change, we are seeing a lot of disturbances in the phenomena, and there is a lot of frequency in increase of the cyclones on one particular coast of India. So when I write the example of climate change here, look how impactful the answer would be, because you are not simply writing some static answer, but you are linking up it with your current affairs. So much so that the examiner will know that this particular candidate is aware of what is going on, what is happening like in the global warming, or what is happening during the climate change, the consequences, how climate refugees are also a concept. So this kind of linkage, when you give in your answer, that will definitely give you some edge. This is something I did. And other than that, I maintain micro theme notes. For example, we have different keywords in the syllabus. For every keyword, I used to maintain a notes. And I use ChatGPT also extensively for this phase. For example, you have some question about globalization, how globalization is influencing the youth. So it can be both positive, negative. And you can just give a command to ChatGPT and it will give you some pointers. Only whatever pointers that you feel are new and that you feel are valid, just cram them up in your notes alongside. In this way, your preparation for mains becomes easier. And after preparing these theme notes, you now have to practice the answers. And actually, you can do that alongside preparing your notes also. Because no matter how much time we get for mains, we always feel incomplete with respect to our notes. No notes is very perfect. Even my notes is also not perfect. I just kept on enriching the notes as in when I found mistakes through my answer writing. So that should be your approach as well. It is not that only once you are totally prepared with notes that you have to start with answer writing. That is not at all true. You have to start it simultaneously. Even if you cannot fill half a page, it's okay. But you have to start answer writing through PYQs. And other important thing is that a value addition. How should we do that value addition? For example, in history, like art and culture and history questions in GS1, I used to take introductions and conclusions from authors like Romila Thapar. I used to quote, for example, there's a question on Gupta age, Guptan art and culture or something like that. I used to take what Romila Thapar has quoted about Guptan age. In this way, my answers looked a bit different from others. And that is why I got a good score in GS1 as well. This introduction and conclusion you can also get from Topper's copies. You can refer them a lot. I used Topper copies extensively, and especially I used Animesh Pradhan sir's answer copies, and I crammed up few pointers, few value addition points, and few diagrams from his answer copies. So I request you to parallelly go through Topper copies just to keep track of what are the improvements that you can make in your answers. And other than that, one important stage that we have to be very sure about is that phase of 15 days before mains. You have a lot of notes prepared, you have done a lot of answer writing practice, but then how to consolidate it, how to present the answers in the D-Day, like on the actual exams of mains. This will become a challenge. So then my approach was almost I have given a lot of FLTs by then. So I'm prepared with my speed, with my content, with my value addition. But then there is this lot of anxiousness also. So for that, I did one simple thing, that whatever data, whatever content that I have learned, I used to make a keyword list. So a very short notes, like a one-pager notes for a subject, for an entire subject, wherein I used to write just the keywords. For example, in society, we have joint family, we have caste system. So what are the pointers that I'll have to write if a question on caste system is being asked? So then I'll write those keywords in the paper. So this is all something like active recall all over again. I used to just recall the important points, important keywords. I used to only write them. So this kind of activity has given me some kind of patience, some kind of relief, so that I knew that I have done a lot of work, and yes, it's gonna be fine because I'm remembering things, I'm remembering the value addition points also. So this keyword list, I used to only refer these list before the exam. Like we have morning and afternoon session for exams. Just after your morning exam is completed, you have time to prepare for the afternoon exam. So then I just used to glance the keyword list, and I'll be thoroughly prepared in my mind that no matter whatever questions are asked, I used to write these keywords. Because see, the correctioner who is correcting our papers, it is not true that they will go line to line through our entire papers. But these keywords, when they appear and when you underline them in your answers, they'll know that this candidate has all the required knowledge for this question. So then they'll take the questions and they'll award good marks. In that way, keywords and underlining your answers becomes very important. And this sums up my entire strategy for mains. And for optional specifically, I relied on Topper notes. For example, my optional is anthropology, and I relied on Apala Mishra ma'am notes extensively. And I have done whatever value addition that I get from current affairs or from other sources. I used to just write my own data, my own pointers in my notes. And for mains, after reading the bulky notes of optional, I used to make a short notes. So in that short notes, I used to write the keywords. For example, if somebody is from anthro background, let's say there is some question on bipedalism, erect posture. So then I'll write what are the changes that has led man to attain the bipedal posture, erect posture. So I'll write those factors, only the words. I'll write those words and I'll make those diagrams that I have to emulate in my answers. In this way, my anthropology bulky notes of optional has also been reduced to almost 100 pages of notes, short notes. So these short notes became very handy for me in those 5-day duration between GS papers and optional papers. I did not use refer the bulky notes. I just referred my short notes and focused on the keywords, thinkers, diagrams, value addition for optional. And I've got a decent score in optional, that is 280 marks. So in this way, my optional preparation has also made easy through this short notes and active recall. And finally, this is something that I did for mains. And for essay, as you all know, I just practiced the previous year papers. And one important thing was the topper copies, from where I got a lot of anecdotes, stories, and how to present my essay in an organic and smooth manner. The most difficult thing that we face is that we'll quote a lot of dimensions, lot of examples, but somewhere in doing all of that, our flow will be missed. And when that flow will be missed, the correctioner will not feel a lot of amusement in correcting your paper anymore. So that will create a negative impact, and marks will not be awarded as per as our expectations. So for that, organic look and simple unique style of your own will be better for essay. Do not copy any topper's approach. Only take anecdotes, stories, and understand their way of answer writing for that matter. But do not try to be somebody else. When you give that look of somebody else, you will mess up your essay. Give it your own style, but be sure about the interpretation of essay. What the essay is asking us. That interpretation should be very important. And again, previous year questions are the wonderful source for practice of essay. I just practiced around 10 to 12 essays before my mains. So I thought it helped me, but I don't think I am that credible person to give suggestions for essay because I did not score much. I just scored 95 in essay despite giving my best of efforts. So maybe you can refer some other toppers videos for essay guidance. And this sums up the entire strategy for mains. There is nothing that beside that I did. I took a courses. Those for the support. Those are for the support for writing answers or for getting value addition points. But I did not rely on them completely. So that is the point. And I also refer topper copies, free sources online, so that I can make value addition and I can make my answers look more edgy than others. And this is something that I did. And if I can tell something apart from academics, mains is that stage where you will feel drained because you have to write a lot, make a lot of notes, practice answer writing. And despite putting the best of your efforts, you will not see your answers going any way higher. So for that, you have to keep in mind one thing, that it's a game of endurance. As I said earlier again, just endure that mains phase, keep faith in yourselves, and just practice a lot. And someday you will find that your answers are way better than the day one answers that you have started. Believe in that. Even toppers did not feel confident a lot in those mains times. So just go with your preparation and have faith in your abilities. That is what matters for this exam a lot. And when it comes to the personality test, obviously, almost after 2 months of mains, 2.5 months, you will get to know the result, and then you have to start with the interview preparation. There is not a lot to discuss in here because you might be knowing what to do. Specifically, we'll fill the detailed application form 2, DAF 2. So in that DAF, we'll mention our achievements, hobbies, and other interest or any other sports or NCC activities. So depending upon that, and also your personal information, like where are you from, which state, which city, which street. If your particular street has some name associated with some personality, so why did your street got a name associated with that personality? And you have to research about that personality also. And the school where you studied, the college where you studied, and the name of the school or college, like was it associated with some personality or some event in the history? I'll say my example. Like I have Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's name in my college name and Rajiv Gandhi's name in my university name. So there were certain questions being asked about these personalities. So what did I do? I just analyzed each and every keyword in my DAF and prepared notes on them. And I will remind you that this notes was not done in one go. First, I prepared some notes. Then I started giving mocks. Then more questions were asked. Then I realized that more number of areas I have to prepare the notes upon. So in this manner, phase by phase, I prepared the DAF notes. And alongside this DAF, I also analyzed different newspapers. So, as in when the interview schedule starts, that I have read almost 4 newspapers per day. Not every day, but when there are a lot of important issues covered in different newspapers, I used to read 4 newspapers: The Mint, The Times of India, The Hindu, and The Indian Express. So I used to pick up the important news issues. Again, uh, newspaper reading will be a different game here in interview, because it's not about remembering of facts or remembering of news events. It's about imagining you in that news event, and what kind of steps or procedure that you will take if you are given a role of an administrator. So here we have to do the analysis of news, not the mugging up of news events. In that way, analytical mindset. And also, we have a separate syllabus for personality tests that UPSC has given. There are broadly 7 to 8 pointers that they have given. For example, say balanced mindset, leadership skills, then depth and variety of interest. Like it is something to do with your hobbies. They'll ask questions on hobbies. They'll check the depth of your interest. So that is there in the syllabus of personality test even. That is the variety and depth of your interest. And composure, confidence. These are all something that they will check in the personality test. So we have to align our preparation in such manner. And so I told you about the DAF notes. Then I told you about the current affairs notes that we have to prepare after reading newspapers. And then is the important thing, that is the presentation skills. How you will develop this? Like as we are in the preparation, we are not so much socialized than our peers. We are always into our books, into our classrooms, into our personal study rooms. So much so that we lack social skills. We do not know how to present ourselves to others. Especially when you are sitting before an interview board, you are not sitting before your friend. You are sitting before a person who has an experience, almost it is greater than your age also. So they'll have some 30, 40 years of experience into the field. Then as a very junior, very young lad, how will you project your personality before such distinguished persons? This will become a greater challenge for us. For that, I did one thing that helped me a lot. I had a very good friend. So we used to be on video call sessions. We used to dress up just like how we'll dress up in the interview day. So we used to sit in front of each other and ask questions. For example, if I took a session for her on one day and she will take the session for me on a third day. In this way, we practice the speaking skills, and we also maintained the importance of gestures. For example, we converse with our friends. So we'll have some informal gestures, like we'll wave our hands or we'll blink our eyes. There are certain informal gestures. So after practicing a lot, we both attained that stage where we are no more using informal gestures. We are sitting formally and we are maintaining that smile continuously despite of the pressure questions that were asked. So these things I personally learned a lot through conversing with my friend. If you have any such peer group, you can have that and you can ask questions to each other based on your DAF, based on your current affairs, and focus on your gestures, your choice of words, and your choice of appearance also. All of this will be accounted in your personality test. So whatever I have told you, first is the DAF notes, then the current affairs, then the presentation, and the fourth one is about the interview mindset. So I'll tell you one simple thing. When I was appearing for mocks, I just thought that there will be few people sitting before me. Each of them will ask me some questions. I'll have to answer them, and that is done. So this was my mindset before. But later I realized that it is not about question answer. If they want to know answers from you, they have simply made you write a written test all over again. Why do you want Why do they want you to come from your place to Delhi to attend the interview? It takes a lot of time for them also to conduct interviews to these many candidates. But they are inviting you to the Dolpur house just to know answers from you? No, it is not. They do not want to know answers from you. They want to know your personality. But how? Let's say they ask you some pressurous question and you get succumbed to that pressure. You become nervous, you sweat a lot. Then they'll know that this candidate, if we offer him or her some role of responsibility, some role of office, they'll not be in a position to handle that pressure. They'll succumb to the pressure and justice will not be done to the people. So that is what they'll analyze after knowing, after seeing your gestures, or after listening to your answers. So what should be done? One simple thing, that you have to converse with them. It is not about question, they are questioning and you are answering. You have to converse with them. For example, they'll ask you, tell me about your city. You have to converse with them such that you have to let them know where you come from. Like how you are proud of your roots. You have that pride about your own city, about your own village. How you will introduce that to somebody so new to your village or new to your city. This is what you have to learn. And one-line answers are very rude and they are informal. So you do not have to tell one-line answers. Always be in that conversational mode, and according to the demand of that question, elaborate your answer or restrict your answer to few sentences. But don't say one line or one word answers to the board. That seems so informal and so rude. And have that confidence, because they'll try to pressurize you. Some boards are very cordial, some boards impose a lot of pressure. But irrespective of all the boards, what they look out for you as a person is that, are you confident in your abilities? Are you confident in your journey so far in life? And are you optimistic or not? These are the some few things that they will check. And if you are able to project them through your answers, through your gestures or personality, then your job at the personality test is done. And there is nothing beyond this in the personality test. Of course, you have to have command over your state, your village, or your city. But yes, fact is not everything. You also have to say no when you do not know particular answer. The honesty factor, the integrity is also something that they will test so keenly. Just be thorough with your DAF pointers, make notes on them, revise a lot, give mock interviews only for the sake of analyzing your own performance. Do not take the remarks so personally, but analyze your performance, analyze your mock video, and then build on it. So similar was the case with me. I have given mocks very underprepared, and after then reflecting on them, I prepared a lot of notes. I made so many modifications in my personality test preparation, and it finally has paid off because I got a good score in interview, that is 201. So I have done a lot of work for that, and I think you also should approach the personality test in such manner. So this sums up my entire journey of preparation at different phases, and a lot of things that I have told you. But there is some important thing that I want to tell you, irrespective of the exam. See, I was also on that side. Probably a few days back, I was also on that side with you aspirants. And there are few important things to keep in mind. That we have to learn the art of patience. Nothing comes overnight. We have to work for it. Sometimes we have to combine the smart work with hard work so that we'll learn from others' mistakes and we'll not do those same mistakes again. We'll just learn from others' mistakes and we'll go ahead with those learnings. In that way, our journey becomes easier. So do that smart work with hard work. And personally, we'll face a lot of setbacks because sometimes parents and friends, maybe they might be support to a lot of us, but few people might not be in that advantage. they constantly have this self-doubt, or people around them will not be supporting them as much. During that times, remember that you are your own light. Believe in yourself, and times will not be in favor for us, but it is not the case always. Someday your hard work will pay off. Be very sure about your abilities. Do not attach your self-worth with this exam. This is so competitive and success rate is very less, but that doesn't mean that you are incapable of doing this. It is just there are many different factors in this exam. Do not associate your self-worth with this, and keep in mind that your mental health, your physical health is very important. Please exercise or practice some yoga, meditation, or some activity, some hobby that will make you feel sane. You have to have that hobby for you, so that this will not become a burden for you. Rather, this preparation becomes an enjoyable thing for you. And finally, have a backup plan in your mind. The way that we start the preparation, we all think that we'll clear it in the first attempt itself and we'll get our desired service or cadre. But this exam will not work like that. There is very less chance of success. I'm not telling you to be frightened after this, but just be rational and logical. Like, give yourself a timeline. Like, I'll attempt one two times, and after that, if I do not get some positive result, I'll just go back to what I have as a backup in my life. And then if I get some flexible work, like flexible enough for me to allow to study again, maybe I'll give one more attempt. So in this way, plan your exit from this UPSC journey as well. Your mental health, your physical health is much more than his exam, and be prepared for the exit as well. There are a lot of things beyond this exam in life. Do not make this exam your entire life. So that is what something I believed, and I just did my own duty. I placed my efforts, and fortunately, luckily, I have been selected this year. Had I not been selected this year, I wanted to take a break here, go back to some core sector and work for myself, build some career, and later, if I want to give it again, I may have given. So luckily, I have been selected in the list, but that is not an ideal case. We see a lot of failures in this exam, and be prepared for failures, but also be prepared for your exit plan and your backup plan. So this is something that I advise students. And let me know if you have any specific questions.
Firstly, thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. You give a all 360-degree approach about prelims in a CSAT optional subject, also mains exams, side by side optional subjects, essay writing, even interview, DAP, and mindset of UPSC preparation. And lastly, your very important point, after 1 to 2 attempts, you can exit plan also. This is very good strategy for every aspirant. They are aware about our preparation. They are very sincere about our preparation. If we are not qualified in first or second attempt or third attempt, so make a plan for exit plan also. Means plan B also is very important for everyone. It's a practical and rational and really appreciative guidance from your side, ma'am. That's why you are 11 all over India rank 11 ranks. That is a whole lesson I already attend, and I give a lots of things from your section. So anyone asks any question?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I want to ask a question about statistics in Hindi means answer writing. I feel like statistic is something you should learn, and if you don't remember the exact figure, what should I do in that case? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, for value addition, we write a lot of things in the introduction, like we gather the statistics from the government reports and all. I do underline the fact that our human capacities are limited. We can't by heart all of that stats, and we can't replicate them in our answers. So my advice would be, try as much as you can. And if you do not know some factual things, just quote the report. That's it. This particular report, for example, say in questions related to environment. So this particular, what we can say, some UN agency report, it quoted that climate change is doing this and this activity. So you can go generalistic there by just quoting one report name. So you don't have to remember the data or fact that they mentioned, but you can mention that. But as far as you can try, you can remember few of the data pointers and you can emulate them in the answer. And one important thing is that we prepare a lot of notes for mains, value addition also. It is not important to 100% emulate that in the answers. Even if you can replicate 40 to 50% of your notes in the mains answers, your job is done. There is nothing to worry. Nobody can remember everything they study. And just be rational and try as much as you can.
Actually, ma'am, you give a 360-degree approach from start to end. Each and every point are nurturing and minor point already covered in your section already. बिना पढ़ाई के कैसे पास होते हैं? इनका फेवरेट क्वेश्चन है मैडम. बिना पढ़ाई के कैसे पास होना है? ये मुंबई के स्टूडेंट है, फास्ट फूड मेंटेलिटी ज्यादा है उनमें बहुत भागम जल्द से जल्द सक्सेस मिल जाना चाहिए. पेशेंस नाम की चीज ही नहीं है. उनके लिए कुछ स्पेसिफिक एडवाइस है आपके पास?
UPSC journey itself, the exam itself is a long process that when you say that you do not have patience, you are simply out of this race. Patience is that foremost important thing that you have to have in this exam process. If you do not have that kind of patience, maybe you can try to find some other different cool stuff in life that you can do. But for this exam, not for this exam, but even after you get selected and even after you become a civil servant, you'll realize that things do not happen overnight. Like if there is a particular government scheme and there are some objectives, for those objectives to get real, to get fruitified, you will have to have a lot of efforts, lot of time. So this is all the art of patience. Patience is not helplessness. You just need to have patience in life to experience those wonderful things. So maybe if you do not have patience a lot, you can try doing that by practicing yoga, meditation, or you can try some other cool stuff other than this exam in life.
One more thing, ma'am. In your section, you give a very good strategy about the active recalling.
Yes.
Can you please describe active recalling? Because so many times in a class, we discuss about the recalling. Because reading, writing, or recalling, these three important, R3 is important in UPSC preparation. So recalling is a core factor in a factual fact or in a descriptive fact. So please, in detail, what about the active recalling?
Fine. Let us take a topic called the Preamble of India that we read in Lakshmikant. So then you just close your book and then first you'll write the preamble, the word preamble. So we have what we can say, we have taken a lot of these factors in constitution from other constitutions. Like we have copied from some things. We have borrowed certain elements from different constitutions. So where did we get that preamble from? Like from which constitution we exactly borrowed that concept of preamble? Probably say South Africa, I guess. I do not remember it exactly. But then you'll write that South Africa constitution. And somebody said that preamble is the identity card of the constitution. Who was that? Palkiwala. And you will write next what are the elements that are given in the preamble. Like there are certain ideals, certain aspirations. For example, what is the core concept of our constitution? Like we have sovereignty, India is a republic, and then we have secularism, socialism. All of these are the keywords given in the preamble. You will write them, and side by side, you will also write certain important Supreme Court judgments related to that. And for example, take secularism, secular socialist. When was this added to the preamble? Through 42nd Amendment Act. Who was the Prime Minister then? Indira Gandhi. So 42nd Amendment Act, you will write there. And then you will write justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, all of this. Where did we take the word justice from? It's from Russian Constitution. So in this way, you will just write down the pointers. You will write one word and where it has been taken from. And then you will write the judgments. Like there are two important judgments, I think. One is about, is preamble a part of Constitution? And is preamble not a part of Constitution? So we have LIC of India case, Behrubai Union case, and Keshwananda Bharti case. You will write those judgments. Like in the judgment, this was said, this was said. So in this manner, you will do that active recall. And whenever you forget something, you just open your book and just read that once again. You will know where you were forgetting the pointers. You will just write down that again And in this way, you will do active recall of different subjects and different topics.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, one last question from our side. What is the exact top ranker strategy? Top 11 rank is all over India rank in 11. So please give me a 1 to 2 sentence. What is the exact difference between other ranker and the rank within 10, rank within 15, or rank within 20? What is the difference between the other and the rankers?
To be honest, sir, nobody knows their rank beforehand. Like even I did not imagine rank 11. So I don't know that we do something different from others. But I'll just tell in 2 lines what I did. I focused on my efforts as I seen the failure once in prelims in the first attempt. I know that there can't be something worse than this. Failing at prelims is the worst thing in this exam, that we have to wait 1 more year for that. So when I have seen the worst, I think I have seen it already. There is nothing more worse that I can get into. So there was this kind of clarity in my mind, and I placed 100% efforts. And I always emphasized myself that there is no perfection at any phase. You will just make mistakes, you will learn. And I was in this constant process. I was enjoying the process, and I was not bothered about the result. So I think this kind of mindset and a backup plan in my mind, maybe they might have given me a lot of confidence in doing the things better.
Really thankful, ma'am. Each and everything is already clear from your side.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, my question is about the answer writing session. Whatever it is going in the session, in the means in the class, I've my practice the PYQs and of the mains answer. But my problem is that whatever I am practicing, I know about what I want to write in the answer paper. But the problem lies with me. It becomes very time consuming for completing just one answer. So, in this current times, what should I do? Please suggest.
Okay. So I think every one of us faced this problem in the initial days of answer writing. So you are not alone. We all face this. This is completely normal. And few things that helped me in writing my answers better. Firstly, when I started my answer writing on day 1, my pen was not moving anymore. Just I did write some half a page of answer and my pen was not moving at all, despite me knowing the information about that question. So this is one challenge. What I did in the coming days was I just opened particular PYQ and I used to brainstorm what are the different pointers that I'll write in this question. So that was my thinking process. So imagine you have the 10 marker question. You will have 2 different pages. So I used to brainstorm what points, how will I divide my answer first? Like depending upon the keyword, first I'll divide my answer. There will be introduction. Like if it is about critically evaluate, I'll give positives, I'll give negatives, and I'll give a balanced judgment in the conclusion. So this will be my format or structure of the answer. So upon understanding the structure, I used to frame pointers in my mind. So what are the positive pointers? Just 1 to 3. Then negatives 1 to 3, 4. Then what will be the conclusion? So all of these things I used to brainstorm in my mind, so that I used to write just one single word as pointers. This is my during the initial days of answer writing. In this way, I used to brainstorm the pointers. And let me remind you that I took more than 10 minutes for this 10 marker questions during initial days. I took 15 minutes also. But then with time, I used to have this timer at my study table, so that I'll just turn it on. And as and when 3 minutes are completed, I used to turn the second page. And as in when the clock is ticking some 6 minutes or 6.5, I used to jump to the conclusion. So in this way, I used to have a eye on the clock, eye on the time, so that I finish the answers with some decent content within that time limit. So through this kind of practice, obviously, you can also overcome this challenge.
Ma'am, thank you so much for overall section and really congratulate to your rank 11.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you.